If the Mini 14 was actually good, I think this is kind of what it would be. This is what it would look like. Right here we have the Fightlite SCR. I have this equipped with a 5.56 upper receiver. This is the WOOX or WOO handguard. Not really sure how it's pronounced, but it's spelled WOOX. This is an AR15 alternative for banned states or for people that just like the form factor of a traditional rifle. This gun uses any standard AR-15 upper receiver with a modified bolt carrier group. You can get this chambered in a variety of calibers, a variety of configurations, but this is how I have mine set up today. I'm going to be talking about this in depth, and I hope you enjoy this. I think that if you are in the market for a ranch rifle, this might be for you. A lot of you asked for this video, and here it is. Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about the Fightlite SCR that I have equipped with the WOO Vigilante handguard. Now, I've done a lot of reviews recently about various different ranch rifle type of firearms. Some of them were better than others. I really liked the CMMG BR4 specifically, especially at the price. The SIG MCXR was great, but it was a little pricey. The Foxtrot mic left a little bit to be desired, and on every single one of those videos, people in the comments said, hey, you gotta get a hold of a Fightlite SCR. Well, today I am happy to show you that I do actually have one of these. Now, the reason I'm able to do this is because WOO, I think it's pronounced wood, but it's spelled WOOX, and I was told it's WOO or wood. You can call it whatever you want. Ultimately, they sent this out and they sponsored this video so that I could actually make this kind of content for you. So we're going to talk about the SCR, and then we're also going to briefly give thanks and talk about the WOO furniture for your AR-15 platform. As this does not use a pistol grip or an adjustable stock, we are just using the handguard on it. But let's talk a little bit first about what this gun is. So Fightlite Industries, formerly known as Ares Industries, I believe it was, this was a long time ago, produces this lower receiver that uses any standard AR-15 upper receiver group in a variety of different caliber options that you choose to produce a firearm that is unbannable. This is an assault weapon ban compliant firearm in the state of California. It's also compliant with a variety of other states, and depending on whether or not you use one with a threaded barrel or not, this one has just a thread protector on it. Depending on whether or not you use a threaded barrel, it can be compliant in other states as well. This lower receiver is the gun, and it is what I would recommend you pick up from Fightlite if you chose to do so. Now, when you pick one of these up, you then have the ability to spend as much money as you want or as little money as you want on the upper receiver. You can choose a variety of different caliber options. My personal recommendation, if you're going to get a gun like this, the Fightlite SCR, and then go with a caliber that's other than 5.56 or 223, I would recommend having an adjustable gas block on it, because the buffer weights and springs are not adjustable because it's all contained inside of the stock. Now, I'm going to have to blur this out on camera, but the way that this is possible is because the bolt carrier group has been modified to have this little rat tail that goes down into the stock, and this is what actually causes the firearm to reciprocate. Again, gonna have to probably blur this out. Garand goes tip to butt, but we're gonna go ass to mouth. So let's actually take this moment to start with the barrel. The barrel here is a very thin profile barrel, which I think really lends this gun to handle very well. When you have a firearm like this, if it's gonna be a ranch rifle, I do think that the thinner profile barrel is actually kind of nice, especially if you're going to be hiking around with it, carrying it around with you on your property. It is nice. However, unfortunately, because it's a thin profile barrel, it gets hot quickly. So that is something to be mindful of. However, I'm saying however a lot. If this is a ranch rifle or a hunting gun, you're probably not going to be dumping enough rounds through the gun fast enough to get it super hot. It's probably more of a, you shoot a couple rounds at the intended target, it goes down or it doesn't. So then let's talk about this handguard. This handguard is from WOO or Wood. It's very neat. This has a couple of features that I really like. First of all, the wood is just very beautiful. This is very nice looking wood. It has M-LOK all around the sides and the bottom of it, which is very much appreciated for a modern firearm. Unlike the Mini 14, this gun is actually modular, which is very much appreciated, and the wood gives it a classic look with modern functionality that you want. Has Picatinny rail section up at the top, up at the front, so that you can mount iron sights if you choose to do so. The barrel nut is pretty easy to install. You just torque it down, time it, and by time it, I mean start at 35 foot-pounds. That's what I did. I torqued it down to 35, checked to see if the holes lined up. They didn't. I torqued it down 5 more pounds. It was pretty close. And then I got it up to 40 foot-pounds, or yeah, it's foot-pounds, right? I got it down to 40, whatever that is. I think it's foot-pounds. And then it lined up perfectly, and it just screws in and holds it in place. Now, would you want to mount night vision type setups to this? No, but that's not the purpose of this gun. This gun is designed to be a firearm that is fully capable, fully usable, uses detachable magazines that are standard STANAG type, which is very much appreciated. And I think that this WOO furniture really does accent it very nicely. If the Mini 14 was a good gun, it would probably look something like this. You know, this is a firearm that has a form factor that is unbannable. It uses regular AR15 magazines. It uses regular AR15 upper receivers, which means you have caliber variability, barrel length variability. It's easy to mount optics. It's easy to make changes to it. You could swap calibers frequently by changing out the upper receiver. You have nice controls in the charging handle. The only controls that I am not super fond of, which this is a recurring factor on most of these types of firearms, is the push button safety. Not a huge fan of it when it comes to turning it off, and when it comes to taking the gun off safe, you can't really do that with your thumb passively while keeping the finger close to the trigger. You can't really sweep and come down on the trigger at the same time. You kind of have to press it and then finger goes to the trigger, which isn't the end of the world. It's just not my preferred. And then putting it back on safe is not the easiest thing. So as a right-handed shooter, it's off safe now. I can do that, or I can completely break my grip around and press it there. Not the most usable. Now, the biggest knock that I have to give to the Fightlite boys over at Fightlite, boys, maybe girls, maybe they, thems, I don't know, not gonna judge. How much can I really judge? I got a Barbie mag in the gun. This gun does not come with an ambi mag release. They've been selling this gun for a long time, and it is absolutely mandatory for a firearm like this to be equipped with an ambidextrous mag release, because as a right-handed shooter, there is no chance in hell that you are reaching that mag release while keeping a firing grip. This is the mag release. I have pretty long fingers. I wear an XL glove, and I have basically Skeletor fingers. I can't reach that mag release to save my life. When you do a reload on this gun, the way it's going to work, you can do one of two ways. We've talked about this on the other ranch rifles. You can either strip the magazine out and then put a new one in and then close the bolt, or you can, in one motion, come from here, grab a new mag, and then kind of like hold it in your... It's not very doable. It's doable, but it's not ideal in my opinion, and I would personally recommend that you strip the mag first if you're going to be doing a reload under speed. They don't ship this with an ambi mag release, which is absolutely ridiculous. I guess in theory, you can then choose any variety of compatible mag releases. The one I see a lot of people use, and that's the one that I chose, was the Strike Industries mag release, because it seems to be the most commonly used on this type of setup. And I wanted to know that what I was picking would work, and it seems like this is probably one of the best options. It's very affordable. It's very common. You can get this pretty much any online retailer. It works just fine. The trigger on this also leaves a little bit to be desired. When you pull the trigger pulls fine, but the reset it's non-existent, really. It is slow and weak to reset, and then there's no real click or tactile feel when it does reset. So I found myself at a few points pulling the trigger, short stroking it. I wasn't letting all the way off because you have to just kind of go intuitively. So it makes it difficult to shoot it as fast, but you can still shoot this gun plenty fast. I think what really makes this gun work well is using a low mounted optic. A lot of times on these types of guns, people will use a traditional height optic, and that is just not the vibe. These stocks combs are low. On pretty much any of these ranch rifle guns, you want to use low optics, which has a benefit of having a lower height over bore. Because these stocks don't have any sort of adjustable comb, got this cheap foam off Amazon and then taped it on, and that puts my head at a very consistent point, get a very good, solid, consistent cheek weld with this lower mounted optic. Well, let's talk about reliability. Reliability, I've only put about 1,000 rounds through this gun, which is a little bit lower than most of my review processes. Half of it was fired without this handguard on it, and then half of it was fired today with this handguard on it. I've yet to have it not function properly. I think I had 2 instances where one of my magazines wasn't locking open on the last round, but that's a magazine that I believe I know to be faulty, so I should probably just take it out of the rotation, but it sits at the top of my bag of magazines. I load it up, I end up shooting it, I load them up again, it's still sitting at the top, so it just kind of stays in the cycle, which isn't the end of the world. I practice malfunctions more often because of that. But I have a few mags in the rotation that don't work super good. So that is something that I noticed. But other than that, I have not had this gun go click and not go bang, which is good because it's a somewhat proprietary system. But these guns have been around a long time, and you don't really see people talking about them not functioning properly if they're going with standard setups. So 16-inch barrel, carbine gas system, it works. You kind of expect it to work. Everyone online that has one of these seems to say that the gun works. So who is this gun for, really? Like, who is this marketed as wanting to get one? Well, if you live in the state of California or an assault weapon banned state, this is particularly attractive because it's very easy to make California compliant. You don't got to deal with fin grips. You don't got to deal with fixed magazines. If you're in California and you have Freedom Week magazines, you can use regular detachable 30-round mags. And that's awesome because I have a whole bunch of those. It makes it very nice for me and many other people in that situation. This gun is comfortable to shoot. It's lightweight, it handles well. I think that it's very attractive in the sense that it looks more like a traditional rifle, which for some people is a huge selling point. If you're used to shotguns or more traditional hunting style firearms, but you want a modern semi-auto that isn't a piece of garbage like a Mini 14, look, I know you're gonna defend the Mini 14. Feel free. The main reason I don't like the Mini 14, I'm gonna elaborate this here. They cost about $1,000. Magazines are expensive. The magazines that aren't expensive are terrible. So you have to use expensive magazines. You have to find them. You're not going to find them in nearly as many stores. They're less common. The guns aren't cheap to begin with. And then if you want to mount an optic, a light, any sort of accessories on it, it becomes very difficult. You're stuck with certain caliber options, which, granted, 300 Blackout and 5.56 are probably the most common things that people are going to go with. I understand that. But in my opinion, the Mini 14 in the current era doesn't offer what this gun does. And these lowers can be had for about $7. The uppers, I would recommend spending $500-600 on an upper that you would slap on this. And, that puts you not really that far away, especially considering, let's say you wanted to get five or 10 magazines. The cost difference alone is huge on the magazine costs. So you're not really getting that far ahead monetarily by going with the Mini 14. And that's before you even talk about wanting to mount optics or a light to it. It's significantly easier. The guns are much more modular. The gun accessorization is cheaper and easier to do. So for me, I think that this fills that role of wanting a hunting rifle or a ranch rifle in a way that is a lot more modern, a lot more capable. I think that the addition of the wood furniture really does make it that much nicer, and I think that it really kind of fits the aesthetic. a lot of people online that aren't even from the state of California will post about owning a Fightlite SCR, which I think is awesome because it's like, hey, here's something that isn't an AR-15. It's more fun to talk about and show people, which honestly, a lot of gun ownership is just, it's cool. They're fun. I like to do it. I like to bring friends to the range. I like to shoot. And this is kind of neat. It fills a different niche than your 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th AR-15 that you might have in your safe. So I do see that a lot of people really like this. It's very functional. It's got a good form factor. It's lightweight. It's reliable. And it's legal in places that an AR-15 might not be, or it's legal in places where the options for AR-15s are funky, like featureless or fixed mag. This gun is naturally fixed mag, or featureless. If you're in the state of California, you get one of these, you don't put a flash hider on it, you can put a muzzle brake, but if you don't put a flash hider on it, and you don't put a forward pistol grip on it, this gun is completely legal. Equipped with a 1-to-6 LPVO, I think that this is actually a very capable setup for all sorts of utilitarian purposes, and it's a neat looking gun. So again, I do want to say thank you to WOO for sending this out. It is awesome. I am very much enjoying the feel of it. It's very comfortable, modular, but classy. If you use code Reno10, that'll save 10% off anything on their website. They make stuff for shotguns, bolt actions, and now AR-15s. Maybe you'll see this stuff on a future build coming up. But I want to say thank you to them. If you have any questions, if you like the SCR, if you don't like the SCR, if you're in a free state and you would want to pick up one of these, let me know and down in the comments. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.